All right, ready to dive into something kind of different today. We're talking credit cards.
But not just any credit cards. We're looking at the UAE credit card Oscars.
Yeah, you heard that right. Oscars for credit cards.
It's a competition going on over on Reddit, the RUA credit card subreddit. Users are voting for the best cards in different categories.
Like, who knew this could be so exciting? But honestly, for anyone between 24 and 35.
You know, finding the right card can make a big difference.
Absolutely, it's crucial. And this deep dive is like getting the inside scoop from people who actually use these cards every day.
Exactly. Real world experiences, not just marketing stuff.
So round one was all about the best cashback card. And guess what? The winner is
Drum roll, please.
the SIB cashback card. It got a whopping 10 votes. Total landslide.
Seems like people really appreciate simplicity when it comes to cashback rewards.
Straightforward, no fuss, just money back in your pocket. Love it. But now, round two is heating up.
Best travel card. And trust me, there are some strong contenders.
Oh yeah, I bet. So where do we even begin?
Well, one card that's getting a lot of buzz is the ADCB Traveler.
Okay, ADCB Traveler. Tell me more.
Think 10% cash back on hotels and flights.
Wow, that's huge, especially if you travel a lot.
And it gets better. This cashback is good for up to 15,000 dirhams of spending per month, so plenty of room to rack up those rewards.
All right, I'm listening. What else?
You also get MasterCard World Elite perks with this card, including 6 airport transfers at just 88 dirhams each.
Nice. Imagine just rolling up to the airport in style.
Now, there is an annual fee of 1,575 dirhams. But think about it, if you're maxing out that hotel and flight cashback, you're basically wiping out that fee and getting all these perks for free.
That's a pretty sweet deal.
It is, but hey, the competition is fierce. The ADCB Traveler has a serious contender in the Accor Infinite card.
Okay, Accor Infinite. What's the deal with that one?
This card is a dream for hotel lovers. It offers a whopping 16% value back in points and comes with automatic platinum status.
So you're treated like royalty from the get-go.
Pretty much. But what about those airline cards that everyone's always talking about? You know, the Skywards and Etihad ones?
Yeah, what's the verdict on those?
Well, based on the community feedback, Skywards cards are getting a big no.
Ouch, really?
Yeah, the program's been devalued, so it's just not as attractive anymore.
So what about the Etihad cards then? Any good?
Etihad cards are a bit more nuanced, I guess you could say. They can be a good option for high spenders, especially those with business expenses. You can potentially max out those vouchers and get some real value.
But it sounds like they might not be the best fit for everyone. Like if you're not spending a ton or don't fly Etihad often.
Right. We're also seeing mentions of general rewards cards like the City Prestige and FAB Travel Infinite.
Are those more for people who want flexibility over like specific airline perks?
Exactly, especially
Yeah.
for those with really high spending habits.
So it really comes down to what you're looking for in a card. But here's where things get even more interesting. The community's also highlighted some great alternative cards for specific needs. Like for instance, the City Cashback card is a winner for those in lower salary brackets. It offers 3% cashback on non-AD spending, which pretty much means you're saying goodbye to those annoying Forex fees.
Absolutely. That's a lifesaver for anyone shopping online from international stores or traveling abroad frequently. And then there's the ENBD Duo Cashback Credit Card. This one's a favorite for its 5% cashback on things like utilities, fuel, electronics, education, and groceries.
Whoa, okay, so it's really good for those everyday essentials.
Right, but it is capped at 2,000 dirhams per month. Still a pretty good chunk of change back in your pocket.
For sure. What else have we got?
Well, for those who love to travel, the ENBD Duneta card is worth checking out. 15% in data credit, no Forex fees, and lounge access. Sounds like the ideal travel companion.
It does. Well, there's got to be a catch, right?
Well, you can only redeem the points through the Duneta portal. And some users have mentioned that the prices there can be a bit higher.
So it's about weighing the pros and cons.
Exactly. You have to find that card that really fits your travel style.
Makes sense. What about cards that just keep things simple? Are there any good options for that?
Definitely. The ADIB Cashback card is a good example. It offers a flat 4% cashback on major categories. No complicated point systems, just straight up cashback.
Nice and easy. But you know, something else that really caught my eye. Someone mentioned the City Ultima card as being unbeatable.
Oh yeah, that one definitely piqued our curiosity too.
We'll have to dig into that one a bit more later.
Definitely. But first, let's take a moment to let all this sink in. What are your initial thoughts? Anything you're particularly curious about?
Yeah, hold on to those thoughts. We'll be diving even deeper into all of this in the next part of our deep dive. Stay tuned. All right, so we've covered some pretty awesome contenders in these UAE credit card Oscars so far. There's still so much more to talk about. Remember that whole debate about how some people feel like no UAE issued travel card is actually good?
Yeah, those high annual fees and the Forex charges were definitely a hot topic. But that's what I love about this Reddit community. People are always coming up with clever workarounds. Like, someone suggested using the WIO debit card as a way to avoid those Forex fees altogether.
Right, the WIO card. I've heard good things about that one.
It's got great currency conversion rates and even gives you 1% cash back on USD, GBP, and EUR transactions.
So if you're spending mostly in those currencies, it could be a real game changer.
Exactly. And then for those big spenders out there, especially business owners, the FAB Travel Infinite card still seems to be a solid option. The rewards and perks might outweigh the cost if you're racking up enough spending.
Yeah, makes sense. It's all about finding that sweet spot where the benefits actually work for your spending habits. We also saw some interesting discussions about specific airlines and their loyalty programs. Looks like the general consensus is that Skywards has lost some of its appeal.
Yeah, it's not what it used to be.
But Etihad can still be a decent option for certain travelers.
Right. There was one comment that really stood out to me about Etihad guest seat redemptions. It seems like they can offer pretty good value, especially compared to Skywards.
Interesting. So maybe there's still some life left in those Etihad miles.
Potentially. But another user pointed out that guest seats can be really hard to book, sometimes even months in advance.
Ah, so it's a bit of a gamble then.
Yeah.
You might snag an amazing deal, or you might end up with nothing.
Exactly. And that brings us back to a key point. There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to credit cards.
Nope, definitely not. What works for one person might be a total disaster for someone else.
It all comes down to your individual needs, spending habits, and travel preferences.
Exactly. This deep dive has given us a really good overview of what's out there, but it's really just scratching the surface.
There's a whole world of different cards and perspectives to explore.
That's why we always encourage our listeners to check out the RUAE credit cards community themselves.
It's such a great resource.
Join the conversation, share your own experiences, and see what hidden gems you can uncover.
You might even help someone else find their perfect credit card.
Now, we've talked about the cashback winners, the travel card contenders, even alternative options for specific needs. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about something that's been on my mind.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
The bigger picture, like all this talk about credit cards and rewards, it kind of reveals a lot about how people in the UAE are managing their finances these days.
That's a really interesting point.
Like especially for that 24 to 35 age group we were talking about. They're starting their careers, maybe thinking about starting families, and definitely trying to figure out how to make their money go further.
It's a crucial time in terms of financial planning.
Totally. And their credit card choices are a reflection of those priorities. It's not just about like getting a fancy piece of plastic anymore. It's about finding a financial tool that actually supports their goals.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new way of thinking about credit cards.
It really is. And it's fascinating to see how these choices reflect people's values and priorities.
For sure. So thinking back to those UAE credit card Oscars, what are some of the biggest takeaways for you?
I think the fact that a simple cashback card, like the Seb cashback card, won by such a landslide is really telling. It shows that people still value straightforward rewards and getting the most value for their money. Like, no complicated points systems or hoops to jump through, just good old-fashioned cashback.
Yeah, simplicity is definitely appealing.
Absolutely. But on the flip side, that close competition for the best travel card tells us that people are also looking for those extra perks and benefits that can enhance their experiences. You know, things like airport lounge access, free flights, hotel upgrades. Those little luxuries can make a big difference.
They definitely can. It's all about finding that balance between practicality and those little indulgences that make life a bit more enjoyable.
Exactly. And that's ultimately what this whole deep dive has been about, right? Helping people discover the credit cards that can help them achieve that balance.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final question.
Okay, hit me with it.
What credit card would you nominate for the UAE credit card Oscars? And why?
Good question. It's really about reflecting on your own needs and priorities.
Right. Think about your financial goals, your spending habits, and the things you value most. Would you go for the simplicity and value of a cashback card? Or maybe you'd be more drawn to those travel perks and the VIP treatment you can get with a travel card.
Who knows? Maybe there's a hidden gem out there that we haven't even talked about, a card that perfectly aligns with your unique needs and aspirations.
There are so many possibilities. But whatever your choice may be, we encourage you to head over to the RUA credit cards community and share your thoughts. Join the conversation, see what other people are saying, and maybe even help someone else find their perfect card.
It's a great community for learning and sharing information.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, the best credit card is the one that empowers you to live your best life, financially and otherwise.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the UAE credit card Oscars. We hope you found it insightful and helpful.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making those smart financial choices.